Guys, I am here. You know I am here. You read by the title, you clicked on the video. You know I'm here to talk about none other than Miss Wendy Williams. I just finished watching the movie. I just finished watching the documentary. 4 hours. 4 hours. And I am gagged. And I've been waiting for this moment. Like, Wendy has been talking about a movie and a documentary for probably, I would say, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. She's been talking about this for a while. 2019, 2020, like literally. So I've been waiting, I've been excited, and then we saw the trailer last month and I was like, it is finally here. It is finally happening. So basically in this video I'm gonna break down the movie, break down the documentary, and you already know. Let's get into the video. Alright, so we know who Wendy Williams is. There's no need for introduction. But if you don't know, Wendy is that girl. Like, I've been saying this forever. Wendy is that girl. People love to throw shots at her, talk about her crazy. I saw people saying, oh, why she get a movie? Why she this? Like, Wendy is that girl. Like, she was TMZ, Media Takeout, The Shade Room, Baller Alert, Hollywood Unlocked. She was all of that before it was all of that. Like, she was literally that before all of that. She was the human person, literally speaking the tea. And Black Hollywood's tea. Everybody's tea, but most importantly, Black Hollywood's tea from the beginning. And she was the only one doing that at her time. The trendsetter, the creator of it. Like, that is how people got inspired to do what she does. And she's been doing this for 35 years. She's still doing the damn thing. And she's literally the pioneer of this shit. Like, of this entertainment, celebrity lives, all of that. Like, she is that girl. She was asking the questions that everybody wanted to know. She was spilling the tea that everybody wanted to know, and the people who say they didn't want to know, they became interested because she was doing it. So she really is that girl. And I've been knew that, but watching the movie and watching the documentary, it literally solidified that of what I've been thinking about her for years. Like, I've been a fan, but after tonight, I'm even more of a fan. Like, and then one thing I could always say about Wendy from the beginning, even though she talked about people and celebrities' lives, she literally always talked about her business too. It wasn't just about the celebrity lives. Like, she was telling people when she had a miscarriage. She was telling people what she did and what she was doing. Like, from the beginning, the movie's called Wendy Williams, the movie. It started at 8 p.m. Obviously, you guys know, on Lifetime. If you don't know, it was on Lifetime. When I heard the title, I really wish she called it, how you doing? The Wendy Williams story. Like, I really wish. I was like, Wendy, how? You don't call it, how you doing? Like, the movie was directed by Darren Grant. If you don't know, he was a 90s, early 2000s music video director. One of the hottest music video directors of the 90s and the early 2000s. And he got to direct Wendy's movie. And it was starring my girl, Ciara Payton. And first of all, I've been on Ciara from before this. Like, I remember I saw the trailer and I was like, yes, Ciara. I literally tweeted her like, yes, Ciara, come on. Because if you don't know, I've watched her in Medea's Family Funeral, and I've watched her she's now starring in The Oval, a Tyler Perry show called The Oval on BET, which is an amazing show. Season 2 is started in a couple weeks and I cannot wait. I can't wait. So I've been on to Ciara. So I know now after tonight people are really gonna be on her. So I'm like, yeah, y'all better get on my sis because she out here for real. And she played Wendy Williams and she did a phenomenal job. Like, she bodied, like, she ate that role up. Like, as far as Wendy's mannerisms, as far as sounding like Wendy, as far as the antics and the way Wendy says things, and then the look, of course, because they gave her the breasts and then the way Wendy walked. Like, I know she studied Wendy and like watched her to like really get into it, because I've been watching Wendy for so long. Like I said, her show's been on for 12 years. I've been watching her for 12 years and before that, but obviously on TV you see more. So 12 years of watching Wendy. So every time she did something like Wendy, I was like, ah! Like, I was literally in my room gagging, like, ah! Like, I was screaming, I know my mom was looking at me like, because you know, I be gagging at things because I be living. And so yeah, Ciara did her damn thing, okay? Did the damn thing. And also starring Morocco Amari, who played Kelvin Hunter, and he did the damn thing too. From what I saw from Kelvin and how I've heard him speak and all that, he did his thing. So the movie began. It was Wendy sitting in the chair behind the scenes of her talk show. She's crying and she's about to walk out on the stage. You know, when she walks out, ooh, ooh, shout it out, ooh, like she's about to walk out, and then she stops, everything freezes, and she looks at the camera and she starts talking to the camera, and then it takes it back to her childhood, her as a child. And Wendy has said this before, with her parents telling her that she was fat, that she was big, she needs to lose weight, she was on a diet, her dad telling her that she would be so pretty if she lose weight. She's a pretty girl, but she would be pretty if she lose weight. She's been saying this, but watching it in the movie, it was just like, oh my god. Like, hearing that as a child, I know that had to cause some type of mental trauma, like, for sure. And then she grew up with this just self-image, like she had to change herself. And like, being on a diet, she said, because in the documentary, connected to the documentary, she said she was on a diet in first grade. Like, first grade? Like, you're 6 years old. Like, that is crazy to me. Crazy. But then it takes you to a scene where she goes to a birthday party, and it was the girl's birthday. It was them two last in musical chairs, and Wendy wins. She sits in the chair, and the chair happens to break. Then the birthday girl is crying because she thinks that she should have won because it was her birthday. And I was watching an interview with Wendy this week, and she was like, no, you shouldn't have won. Unfortunately, they got kicked out. Her mom got kicked out of the party. And from that moment, Wendy was like, you know what? I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of my parents' house. She even said in the documentary, one thing that she wanted to leave her parents' house, and she wanted to just, she knew she wanted to be what she wanted to be. And growing up, her parents told her, don't be loud, don't be telling our business, don't be so big. And she was like, she knew she wanted to be loud, proud, tell people business. Like, she knew what she wanted from a young age. She knew she wanted to be on the radio, and she worked for it. She went to Northwestern University. She majored in communications. After that, she got a job. Well, she took many radio jobs. She said she went to, they were showing all the places. She went to Boston. She went to, oh my God, what is the Caribbean country? St. Croix? St. Croix, yeah, St. Croix. And then they show her when she gets to Washington, and then she was on the WOL radio station. And then she makes a joke saying, oh, I look good, right? Well, let me show you my new diet. And the diet was obviously her doing cocaine, which we know Wendy has talked about this before. She did cocaine for years, and so she joked about it like that was how she lost her weight. Then we into a scene where she's excited to interview this new up-and-coming artist. In the movie, she gives him an alias. Like, she literally doesn't say his name, but if you don't know, everybody was looking up the person that she said in the movie, but his name is Sherrick. He had a hit in the 80s, and Wendy interviewed him on the WOL radio station, and he started flirting with her. She ended up going back to his hotel room because he said, I want to take you out, but he said, oh, I gotta go to my hotel room real quick to change. They go back to his hotel room. She's waiting on him, and he literally forces himself on her. He rapes her, and she leaves. That's how it ended. So obviously he had that plan that he was gonna rape her, because they didn't go anywhere. Like, he literally raped her and she left. So unfortunately that happened to her. That was so emotional. Like, this whole thing was emotional. The movie was emotional, then the documentary was emotional as hell. It was just very, very, very emotional. Like, very emotional. So she goes back to the radio station, because she said, this is the last time that somebody tells me to shh, because while he was raping her, he told her to shh and not to scream. So she said, this is the last time somebody tells me shh. She goes to the head of the station that she's at, and she's like, you know what? I am going to play the music I want to play. I'm going to do what I want to do. And then after that, they show you a scene of her going to take an HIV test. And luckily, she was negative. And because she said at that time, that's when AIDS is like real rampant. So she took her HIV test. And then they show her going partying. And of course, we have another scene of her doing drugs. And she wakes up at like 2:15 p.m. She had to always be at the radio at 3 p.m. And she says she was never, I mean, my mom was talking about this. I was like, she was a functioning drug addict. Like, she was functioning. Like, she said she was always at work, never late, never missed a day. Then she got a job because her dream, her goal in life was to always be in New York radio. She got a job at Hot 103.5, and it was a part-time job. So she was literally doing the Washington radio station and the New York radio station. She would be at the Washington radio station from Monday to Fridays, and then the New York radio station on Saturday and Sunday. So sis said no days off. I'm working, I'm grinding to where I want to be. And that's one thing I was saying again while watching the movie. One thing, even though she was on drugs, like I just said, she was functioning, but she knew her end goal. Like, yes, she's doing this, but her end goal, she knew she had to work and grind no matter if she was doing these drugs, because her end goal was bigger than this. Like, she knew where she wanted to go and where she wanted to be. And that was just like really motivating. Like, at all, like, it was like I said, it was emotional, but it was also very motivating. Like, she really, like I said, she's that girl, and she really worked her ass off and really was the trailblazer in this entertainment shit. Like, for real, this gossip and entertainment shit. She did so well in New York, so she got a full-time position. She went to go tell her bosses at WLL, and mind you, those bosses was rude as hell. They were so freaking rude to Wendy. Like, they were so rude to her. But it was like, yeah, get out of my office, blah blah blah. But she went from $9,000 a year at their station to $60,000 a year at the New York station. Like, sis went from $9,000 to $60,000. Like, that is freaking crazy. All right, so then she gets her position at 98.7 Kiss FM. And how she got that, she was sitting outside of Kiss FM for sis was sitting outside Kiss FM for 2 weeks, and then she finally got called in, and she was able, for that day, her idol Carol Ford was not there that day, and the guy was like, hey Wendy, to see a Tom, fill in for him. And sis came through telling the tea, telling all the business, and he loved it. And she ended up getting her own show with Kiss FM, and she was livid. She actually got fired from Hot 103.5, and in the documentary she said she know why she got fired. She got fired because there was a new like jockey that came in and was just kissing up to like all the bosses, and she said she was never like that. She came in, she did her job, and she left, but she was kissing up to the bosses, and then I guess she ended up getting the position or whatever, so Wendy ended up getting fired. But nevertheless, she got the job at Kiss FM, and Carol Ford loved her, and everybody loved her. Of course, they had people that didn't like her because she was telling all the tea, but for the most part, they was loving it, and they loved that she was different, she was new, she was fresh, she was bringing something new to the station, and of course she made them #1. And of course, who doesn't love good ratings? Like, duh. Then we jump to the part where she's with Eric B, who ends up being ain't shit, no good, ran her credit up, messed up her credit. She took out a car in her name, rental car in her name for him. He didn't return the car in time. She getting called. They about to arrest her. Ain't shit. Ain't shit. She fell for him, but he gave her the good D. And she ended up getting pregnant after they broke up. She ended up getting pregnant. She had an abortion. That was the one thing about Wendy that I never knew. Like, I thought I knew a lot about Wendy, but when the abortion popped up, I was like, Wendy got an abortion? I literally never knew that. Like, I need to read her book. That's something that I'm gonna add that to my list. I need to read her book, but I never knew that. And then at this time, you know, she's the hot girl. She out here, she doing the damn thing. So people are telling her some tea. Like, they know, they're like, oh, she went to the bathroom and she was, you know, doing her little cocaine. And then there's people like gossiping, like, is that Wendy? Like, is that Wendy Williams in the bathroom? Like, oh, hey, are you Wendy Williams from Hot 97? She's like, yeah. And they're telling her the tea, like telling her business. She starts telling Total's business. If you don't know who Total is, they're a group from the 90s who were signed to Diddy's label, and telling the business of Diddy's not paying his artists, and which allegedly that has still been going on today. Allegedly, that's still been going on. And he doesn't pay his artists, and how Total is broke. And at one point in the movie, Total pulled up to the station to beat Wendy's ass. And luckily, Kevin came and helped her. Like, when we got to Kevin, we didn't get to that yet, but Total came, was ready to beat her ass, and Kevin came and saved her. And in the documentary, sis from Total looked like she still wanted to beat Wendy's ass. Like, she still looked like she had an ass whooping for Wendy inside of her body because she didn't get it out. Talk about, my brother taught me karate. Like, sis, we old now, we grown. Like, and she meets Kevin. She said in the documentary she met him at some like roller skating type of event, and he sent his friend over. Like, childish. Like, come over. Like, see, I'm never talking to no guy that sent his friend over. Like, you better come over here and talk to me. Like, period. Like, no. But anyway, he sent his friend over. He wrote his number on like some matches, and then I think, I forgot how many days, but Wendy calls him and he didn't answer her. She hung up. He called back, and then she told him, I get off at work at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., something like that. Be outside. If you are, then we rolling, and if we not, then that's your loss. Like, and he pulled up. He was waiting on her. In the documentary, she was like, he pulled up, he was looking good, he was smelling good, and she got in the car, and she said she be killing me with these, because she just went on a date this week, and she was talking about it on the Wendy Williams show, and she be killing me, because she was like, the story with Kevin, she was like, by the first red light, I knew I liked him. By the second red light, I knew I really liked him. And this week, the day she went on this week, she was like, by the first red light, I knew I didn't like him. Like, she be killing me with the red lights. She be having me dead. But she meets Kevin, and she falls for him because he just feels safe. He feels like he cares about her, and she just felt safe. All right, then we get to the scene with her breast implants, and in the documentary, this connects because she said I forgot how long she said, but when she was dating Kevin, she just started dating Kevin, and she told him that she was gonna do breast implants and a liposuction, because she told him, because she was like, if he said, oh no, don't do that, she was just gonna dump him. But he was with it, even though he said, of course, you look beautiful without it, blah blah. She was like, I don't give a damn what you say, I am doing it, because she always had that idea, like, she wanted to be slimmer, she wanted to be skinny, and she wanted these big breasts, because she said the big breast matches her personality. So she did get the breast implants, obviously we know that, and then she got liposuction, and then later on when she had her son, she got a tummy tuck and some more liposuction. Then she came back from her breast implants, getting her breast implants, and she was on the radio talking about it. That's why I said Wendy tells her tea too. She's talking about getting the breast implants and talking about how it went, and her boss came in like, Wendy, you cannot talk about this. Like, she got banned for 2 weeks for that. Next, she stopped using cocaine. Kevin was actually one of the reasons why she stopped, because he really didn't like it. And this connects in the documentary, because in the documentary it was like how he really didn't like it. Even in the movie they did say that too. He didn't like it, and she was like saying that he didn't like it, but he never forced her to stop, but he helped her in a way to stop. So she said it was very hard. It took 2 weeks to give it up, because she was just throwing, like, she had stashes like all over her house, so she was throwing it over away. So she stopped cocaine, and then it comes to the scene where, the infamous scene where she got suspended because she was calling men in the industry gay, specifically Diddy, which I definitely knew about this story, because I know Diddy tried to get her fired because she calls him gay, and she was doing that. She's been doing that her career. Like, literally, they was playing in the documentary, or playing the clips, and she was like, yeah, she just asks men if they're gay or if they like being with men, and like, she really did not care. She still doesn't care, but I love it. This is why I fell for Wendy, because I don't know, I always love when people are just like honest and just speak their truth and whatever, so I'm always here for it. And that's when she ends up going to the radio station in Philadelphia, because she was like, I'm not being suspended, whatever, because she, on her contract, she wasn't supposed to go work for another radio station in New York. So she was like, all right, I can't work in New York, so I'm going to Philadelphia. So she ends up going to Philadelphia, and then she gets pregnant, and she unfortunately has a miscarriage. From what I know, I remember Wendy saying she had 5 miscarriages. In the movie, they only showed 3 of them, but she had 5. 2 of them were at 5 months, where she had to push out a stillbirth. Like, she had a stillbirth. She had to push out a stillborn, which was, oh my God, that's so heartbreaking. Like, I turned to my mom, I was like, that's so sad. Like, when you have to push out like a baby that you're not carrying home, like, that's so sad. So 2 of them were at 5 months, and then the other 3 she said was at a couple of weeks. But it was just very emotional seeing that, and then especially like keep going back and keep going back and keep trying. Like, I know that took a toll on her and a toll on her body. Like, that, I know that had to be sad. And then she finally got pregnant. She got pregnant again with Kevin and her son Kevin, and she was on bed rest for that whole pregnancy. They brought home the radio equipment and she was doing the radio from home. And she said in the documentary that the radio people were acting like assholes. Like, they didn't want her to be at home, but they knew that that's where the ratings were. They needed her, so they did what she said. They brought the equipment home, and she worked from home for those 9 months. And then thankfully she had the baby. She had Kevin, and then they showed the scene where she looked over. She was, you know, touching baby Kevin. He was in his little rocker, and then she gets up because she rolls over and Kevin is not there. Kelvin, we're gonna differentiate Kevin, her son, and Kelvin, her ex-husband, because if you don't know, his real name is Kelvin, but he didn't like the name, so that's why he changed his name to Kevin. Fun fact, if you didn't know that. So Kelvin wasn't in the bed, and she went over and she heard him keying with some woman. And that's the first time in the movie where she confronts him, and he's like, oh, she means nothing to me. He was wanting some money, blah, blah, blah. She don't mean nothing to me. So Wendy was like, you know, she took him back. Then another scene, she hires a private investigator, and the private investigator, she has photos. She confronts him again. She throws the photos at him, and she tells him, if you cheat on me again, this is it. But we know in the story, Kevin has been cheating on Wendy for years. She said he's a serial cheater. Like, he's been cheating on her. And from what I hear, allegedly, he's cheating on this mistress right now. He's cheating on the girl right now. So he just does not need to be in a relationship at all, because he just cannot be faithful. Like, he really can't. Then they finally do get married. Before Kevin was born, they did get married. After, I think, miscarriage number 3, they showed them getting married before she gets pregnant and has baby Kevin. And they did get married. She literally, she's like, yes, I know I'm skipping over my first husband, but that was nothing. She literally skipped over her first husband, as she always does. She doesn't even talk about that. But yeah, she skips that over. That always kills me. Like, everybody on Twitter was like, that's a key. Like, yes, a mood. Like, I'm skipping over that man. Like, it never happened. She was like, what she called it, her starter marriage. She's hilarious. All right, I just jumped over, but before she had baby Kevin, and then after she got married, she changed her doctor, and that's when her doctor told her that she has a weak cervix and she needed to be on bed rest. So that's when she ended up being on bed rest, when she was pregnant with baby Kevin. And then after she confronts him the second time in the movie, she ends up going and do an STD test, of course, as she should, and she ended up putting in an IUD, so then she can't get pregnant again, because she was like, she don't want to have any more babies. And that was that. And then in real life, I was watching an interview where she said she knew she wanted to divorce Kelvin for a long time, but she just had to really set herself up in preparation for the divorce, because she knew when she left, she would have to pay him alimony and give him money and all this. So she was like, she was setting herself up. And as well, she didn't want to have the divorce while little Kevin was still in school. She wanted to wait till, like, he went up to college and he was, like, really an adult. She didn't want to, and that was one of the reasons also that she stayed, because she was like, she didn't want to be a single mom, which is crazy, because I feel like it's better to be a single mom than to be dealing with that and the cheatation for years. Like, she goes back to WBLS after that, and she writes a book, and she has a book signing. She feels down and out about it, and then Kevin comes in and motivates her to get up. One thing I could say, he was very controlling, very emotionally abusive, but he was her biggest fan. That's one thing I can say. One thing good I can say about him. Everything else, the emotional abuse, the controlling, him cheating on her over and over again, one thing I can say, he was her biggest fan. So that's why I can't say like he didn't care about Wendy. I can say he definitely cared about Wendy at some point, but he got comfortable, he got disrespectful, and he wanted his cake and eat it too, because obviously he cheated on Wendy multiple times and she didn't leave him. She kept taking him back. So a man like that, he's like, he gonna take that to his advantage, and he's gonna use her because she's not leaving me. So all right, which means I could do whatever I want to do. I'm gonna be married to her, have my cake and eat it too, making money, also spending her money and making money, because obviously she made him her manager and executive producer, so he was making money. And then I'm gonna have my side girls and I'm gonna do what I want. Like, so literally that's what it is. That's what it was. Like, he was very disrespectful. But one thing I can say from watching what I saw, he definitely cared about her and definitely cared about her well-being and cared that she was the star. It's sad how he did it, because from what I hear, he was driving people crazy and so controlling. Like, people were scared to even like approach him. But he definitely had Wendy's best interest in terms of making sure she got the best job. Because even with the talk show, like, she was like, oh no, if you're doing a talk show, it's not no view, you not no special guest or no another co-host. Like, you need to just be the star of the show. Like, that's it. It has to be your show only. So that's one thing I can say about him. But other than that, he's trash. Like, he's trash. Even in the documentary, like, there was a part where he was like, oh, it was false and inaccurate. Like, Mr. Calvin Hunter, we see the photos, we see the evidence, we see the proof. Like, what are you talking about? It was inaccurate. The girl was pregnant. Like, you saw the baby bump. They even posted, I remember back in 2018, they posted the mailbox where Wendy was at. They posted the mailbox with him and Sharina's name in it. Like, it had their names in the mailbox. Like, what are you talking about inaccurate? Like, men are trash. Some men are so freaking trash. Like, and then we jump to the moment, like I was just saying, her talk show. We jumped to the moment when she got her talk show, which was in 2009. She had her 6-week sneak peek. I watched all 6 weeks. I remember this. I was like, oh my god, Wendy's getting a talk show. I watched it. It did so well. She got picked up. And then connecting it to the documentary, we saw the moment when her and Omarosa got into it. And that was a moment. Like, that was a freaking moment. Because Omarosa came on for a moment. She wanted her time in the spotlight. And Wendy was like, bitch, you on my show. This is my show. Right. Like, Wendy ate her up. Alright, so then this part of the movie, they jump from 2009 to 2016. Because, you know, Lifetime only focuses on a portion of, like, the lifespan. At this point, you could tell Wendy is totally done. Like, she's through. She's ready to go from Kevin. And at one point, which Wendy said in the interview this week, that she can get anything out of his friends. Like, she would get all the tea from his friends. All she had to do was give them a little money, a little weed, a little drink. And she could get all the tea out of them. So she got the tea out of one of his friends. She figured out he had a house down the block from their house in New Jersey. She pulled up to the house. She got out of the car. She started taking pictures of the house. She literally gorilla glued their mailbox, which she said on the, it showed it in the movie, but on the documentary she said it was gorilla glue. She started kiki, she was laughing. She spray painted Wendy and Kevin forever with the heart. And she hopped back in the car, left. She was in her basement, and then Kevin came in. That moment, she still didn't leave right there. After that, she started drinking like heavily, like drinking heavily. And that's when the fainting happened, when on Halloween, when she was in the Statue of Liberty costume. She fainted, which everybody was joking about it, but it was really serious. Like, she was really going through it and nobody knew. And then Kevin, he made it seem like it was all her problem. He forced her to go to rehab. She ends up going. And this is why I said he ain't shit, because he knew it was about to come out that Sharina was pregnant, and he literally forced her to go to rehab so she won't see the tea, which she still found out, because Wendy She has the gift of gab, and she got one of the guys in the rehab to give her her phone. So she found out anyways. So she called him. She's like, get me out of here. They made like a deal where she would be on the show, but then after the show, she would have to be driven back to the facility that she was in. She talked about it on the show. She did talk about it on the show in one episode, but it was crazy. Like, that's what I said. He really ain't shit, for real, for real. And then at one part, she told him, you better get your lawyer up because you will starve without me. Like, I was living. But of course, you know, now she has to pay him alimony, unfortunately. So he out here still getting something from Wendy. He's still getting a coin, which is annoying as hell. And they finally divorce. And at one part where I was like, Ciara, yes, eat it up. Because she said something like, you know how Wendy loves saying, I be dipping it and doing it. And Ciara did it. She did the motion, the action, the speech. I was like, yes. Like, I literally yelled at my screen. Like, I was like, yes, eat it up. So yeah, this part, they're divorced. They're done. She's done. She's free. And at the end, we get back to how the movie began. When she was about to step out in the, ooh, shout it out. She had to step out on stage. And she gets back and she's like, my whole life, I was living for everybody else. I wanted to make everybody else happy. And now it's time to make me happy. And then she walks out on stage, the show starts, and then it goes into the real Wendy Williams, and she's thanking everybody for watching her life, watching her story. And the whole movie, Ciara playing Wendy did not say, how you doing? Like, I was literally like, ah! But of course, at the end, when we get into the real Wendy Williams, Wendy does the, how you doing? At the end, I was like, yes, finally we get the how you doing, because I was like, Ciara, come on, hit us with the how you doing. But that was the end of the movie. Like I said, the movie was so good. Definitely one of my favorite Lifetime biopics. It was so good. Like I said, Ciara ate it up. Morocco did his thing. It was such a good movie. Like, I wanted it to be 3 hours because I felt like, obviously, Wendy has way more tea. Like, I know it's way more. They, especially, like I said, they jumped from 2009 to 2016. So it's still, like, so much more that they could have added. So I wish it was 3 hours. But, again, nevertheless, it was such a good movie. They did such an amazing job. Like, so good. I'm going to watch it again. Like, I'm literally going to watch it again later on today. But some more facts, some more things. Everybody was talking about the wigs. There's like, I know Wendy brought her wigs in for sure because this is the best I've ever seen Lifetime wigs look. And for sure, because them wigs were lit. Ciara was wearing some bomb ass wigs for sure. And one thing I would definitely say watching this whole thing is like, don't let a man bring you down or bring your career down. Because literally, yes, like I said, Kevin did have Wendy's best interests at heart at moments, but there were parts where, like, she said in interviews where he would walk out of meetings or not answer his phone, and like you could really be messing up her business, like really, because he just felt like she deserved more, she deserved better, and he would be mad, so he would just leave or walk out. So he definitely had, like I said, that controlling spirit. But like, don't let no man bring down you or bring down your career or embarrass you. Like, he literally embarrassed her. Like, and of course she was putting up a cute face like, I'm the wife, I'm still married and all that, but behind the scenes she was going through it, as we saw. But don't let no man bring you down or bring your career down that you worked hard for. Like, you worked your ass off to get where you are, and you did not need him. You still don't need him, and you never needed him. Like, he needed you. Literally. She always said she was her own best friend and nobody else can look out for her but herself. Even though she had her moments where she was like unsure about things, she still had a confidence about her, of course, and especially going on air, talking people's business. Like, you have to be confident in what you're doing to even have something like that. 'Cause she had a bodyguard and all that, so she knew like people would be gunning for her. But you have to have some type of confidence to even go on air and just dish and talk about people's business. So she definitely had some confidence within herself. Even like today, like, she definitely had some confidence with her. She knew she was that girl. Like, she knew the radio station needed her. She knew they needed her. She knew people were copying her whole idea of like talking about people and all of that. Like, she knew she was that girl. And then of course after the movie we went into the documentary. It was called Wendy Williams, What a Mess. And I definitely talked about it within this whole thing. I tried to pull from the movie and the documentary. The movie was very accurate because it was definitely things in the documentary I was like, okay, we just saw that in the movie. So it was definitely pulling from things. And we saw her mom, Shirley Williams, rest in peace to Shirley. We saw her dad, Thomas. We saw her brother, Tommy. And then we saw her sister, Wanda. We saw Suzanne, we saw Brendan, we saw Andy Cohen, Joy Behar. A lot of people were in the documentary talking about Wendy. We saw what's his name, Jerry O'Connell. Like, we had a lot of people talk about her. They're calling her the female Howard Stern. And basically the documentary just went way more in depth of what the movie was. And of course, Wendy, we saw Wendy Williams. We had different sections. She was in her apartment, and then we saw part of her like getting in like a black outfit. Like, it was different parts where they recorded it, because of course I'm sure it was over a couple months or a year of a time span. And it was just very emotional, because of course during that time she was filming the documentary, she was going through a divorce. So it was definitely very emotional. She was crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, Wendy been an emotional person, but like, of course, going through like a divorce and knowing what happened, like she was really so emotional. Like, it was just tears and crying. So the documentary definitely went way more in depth. We just saw a lot more, and then of course we heard it from Wendy's perspective and Wendy's point of view. One thing I definitely have to say, I know for sure the last time of Kevin getting this woman pregnant, I know that definitely took her over the edge because of her problems and trouble, miscarriages, and then you go get another woman pregnant, and then on top of that, the baby is a girl, like, and you know, she wanted a daughter, and that stillborn that she had to push out was a girl. So I know that just ticked her off and took it over the edge, and that's like really what sent her to get a divorce. But women who go through abusive relationships, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, whatever, it's definitely going to be a point where you go back, and then that one moment is going to be like, you're going to get tired. It's going to be that moment where you just get tired. You're like, I can't do this anymore. And Wendy even said it in an interview, she got tired. She was tired of him spending her money. She was tired of just his anger, because she said when he was good, but when he was bad, it was bad. It was just emotional roller coaster just being with him. And she was like, she outgrew him. So thank God she did, because the toxicity, and the money, because my mom even said that she would have had way more money, because he really was out here buying Rolexes, Rolls Royce, this car, this, like, spending like crazy. So thank God. But that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you watched the movie. Definitely check it out. Like I said, it is a good movie. Definitely go check it out. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below, let me know what you think of the movie, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Follow me on my social medias at Bria Van Kooten, my Twitter and my Instagram, and I will see you guys in my next video. Woo! Nah, this is a roller coaster. Like, I need to edit this, post, and then I need to like listen to some music and just like, because it was really a roller coaster watching it. Like, my emotions are literally involved. But I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, love, deuces.